Well, thank you, and welcome to Pacific Marine Expo. What is Fish Expo? I'm not sure what it means to you, but I know what it means to me. I've been fishing since 1985, and through all that time, I've been coming to Expo. And Expo has been a place for me to learn, to gain knowledge, to meet friends, and to basically interact with people in the industry. The first boat I worked on was the Alaska Trader out of Kodiak, and my first job was in the bilge. Today, I sit in the bridge. I'm honored to have been asked to speak at Expo. And I guess you know who I am, but first and foremost, I'm a fisherman. I'm Captain Keith Colburn, and that's what I do for a living. Now, and I'm on a TV show too. But anyways, it's not only in 30 years I've been fishing. In the last 20 years, I've been doing other things behind the scenes. And that's why I showed the little clips from the government shutdown. You know, a couple years ago, I was privileged to be able to go back east and speak on behalf of fishermen when the government had us shut down because of regulatory and permit issues. And I've been working behind the scenes on other things as well, whether it was the Alaska Marketing Association, working to get better pricing for the crab fleet, the Seattle Fishermen's Memorial, AFSA, a number of things. There's so much that goes into the boat that it starts with my support staff. And so I want to thank all of you in the room and everybody at Expo for being the best support staff there is. The Pacific Northwest Fleet, the Alaskan Fleet, is the most diversified, competitive, efficient fleet on the planet. Technologically, we are ahead of most fisheries by light years. And it's because of places like Fish Expo and being able to come and learn that help us stay ahead of the curve and ahead of the competition. The man that owned the Wizard prior to me was a man named John Jorgensen, a very respected fisherman in the Bering Sea crab fleet. He had worked his entire life. He was a third-generation fisherman. People ask me all the time, where did the name Wizard come from? And I asked John, I said, where did the name Wizard come from? And he said, well, his grandfather, one of the first pioneer boats in the fisheries, an old cod and halibut schooner that was out of Seattle, was named the Wizard. And he said his grandfather said one of the reasons he named it that, because in the early 1900s, there was this new and amazing technology called VHF radio. And his grandfather wanted the name of the boat, and it was all Norwegian fishermen, to be something that he could enunciate on the air so that if he ever did have an emergency, they would know who he was. Because most of the boat names back then, and I don't speak Norwegian, but we were like, I mean, just all kinds of crazy names. I don't, yeah, you could probably help me with some of those, right? Yeah. So anyways, John taught me that I needed to know my limits. He didn't come right out and say it, but I learned from watching him. John was a man that led by example and taught by example. And he took me under his wing, and he showed me how to fish. He subjected me to every possible scenario that he could, whether it was weather, whether it was good fishing or bad fishing, chasing crab, finding crab, whatever I needed. John gave me those tools to become a fisherman and become a captain once he finally decided to give me the boat. The vessel has to be maintained to the highest possible standards within the budget available. And vital decisions are made at this time when you're on the dock that you don't realize may impact how your fishery is going to be later on while you're actually out at sea. The greatest chance of success and the highest chance of success and efficiency is if you maintain your boat well. But you need to also do it with safety. You can't ever compromise safety. Safety is the number one thing that I try to think of before I leave the dock. In my line of work, it needs to be number one. We can't cut corners. The Bering Sea crab fishery changed in 2005, and it went from a full-scale derby, winner-take-all fishery to an IFQ fishery, an individual quota fishery. And in doing so, it took a lot of steel off the water. We went from a 250-boat fleet down to about an 80-boat fleet, and a lot of the vessels that were trying to participate weren't being maintained well. We're not making enough money to keep the boats up. We're suffering from intermittent or transient crew, and we were having issues. If you watch the TV show, you'll notice my crew always wear PFDs. They always wear life jackets. On my boat, it's mandatory and it's an essential part of their gear. I'd like to take a quote from a U.S. Coast Guard swimmer that I met. He said, "It's impossible to die from hypothermia without a life jacket." Everybody thinks that if you go in the water, you're going to die from hypothermia. But if you don't have a life jacket on and you go in the water, in less than 3 minutes, in the temperatures that we're in winter, you're going to lose control of your legs and your arms. You're going to be coherent, but you're not going to be able to keep your head above water. The Wizard, when I do my drills, takes roughly 4 minutes to do a racetrack or Williamson turn and come back and retrieve someone. If he's not wearing a life jacket, he's not going to have the ability to keep his head above water. So, my guys all wear life jackets, and it's all mandatory.